this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Get It Right Texoma with the Texoma Trio. Mike Hendren is my name. This is Terry McAdams. That's Trey over there. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Glad to have you back. We are here to inform and entertain you. We focus on events, news all around Texoma, and we do occasionally throw in some stuff regional, state, national, international, and interstellar as well, if necessary.
There you go.
And we talk about a lot of different things on this program. Also have some interesting guests with us from time to time, and we've got we've actually got a pretty full lineup of guests coming up, excuse me, over the next several weeks.
Oh, yeah, in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 that are lined up between now and in September.
So Trey is kind of taking point on scheduling guests for us, and he's done such a magnificent job. I've calculated that we'll have to be doing this show for at least the next 18 years
to
get everybody in.
And we'll be sure to give him that bonus based on percentage of his salary.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Which right now we're in negative territory. Anyway,
You owe us.
Wait a minute. I was going to say, do I owe more? I owe extra.
But do welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. And be sure and share it on all your social media platforms.
Yes.
And be sure to visit our website, GetItRightTexoma.com as well. The program brought to you in part by MacTech Solutions, located at 4020 Ray Road here in Wichita Falls, Suite 3B. We actually record this podcast in the MacTech Solutions studios each and every time that we do it. We don't do it anywhere else because nobody else will let us into their building to do it. We're it. This is it.
I have the key.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got a key to this place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like Trey and I, we don't have a key. We don't know the codes. We don't know nothing. I mean, this place is locked down like the Pentagon, for God's sakes. So anyway, no, except during business hours. You can come in during business.
Yeah. It's not locked down. Yeah.
So anyway, all right.
They won't do a body cavity search during business hours.
No, but after dark, anything could happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Downtown Art Walk is coming up. It's usually the first Thursday.
So it would have been the 4th, but it can't be the 4th because the 4th is the 4th.
This, for the month of July, it's going to be on the 11th. So, at any rate, but it is usually the first Thursday of every month. And it goes, through October? Yeah, okay. And it's 5:30 to 9 each Thursday that it happens. First Thursday of the month, or again, July 11th this month. And the event seems to just keep growing and growing.
Oh, there's so many people downtown. It's so good. I mean, there's vendors out there all over on the street. Also, I believe the one of the farmers markets is set up. The farmers market that's over on Indiana Ohio Street, it's there. But also, I think that the other farmers market that's not set up downtown, they set up in the big blue building. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of farmers markets that are going on. There's so much neat stuff down there. Like I said, there's vendors on every street. The breweries down there, a couple of wineries are down there, food trucks are down there. It's a great event.
Yeah,
and it's just a free for all. You just go down there, you find where you park, you walk down there. The pub's there. There's a lot of places to eat, and there's a lot of places to get things to drink. Just a lot of knickknacks and cool stuff.
Yeah. A lot going on there for sure. We got on July the 12th, 6 to 8 p.m., there's going to be a Watermelon Fest at New Hope Church.
It's on Enterprise Street. It's actually, I believe it was a Dollar General originally. Enterprise Street is a street where McDonald's by the base. If you ever know where McDonald's by the base is, that's Enterprise Street. And if you headed down Enterprise Street towards the old Kate Haynes Elementary, there was a Dollar General that was built probably about 20 years ago or 25 years ago on the right-hand side, and it's the buildings there. It's where Polar Bear Ashburns used to be, basically, if you've been around that long.
Oh, my gosh.
If you've been around that long. But anyhow, it's a building there, and I believe that's where that's the only place I can think that there's a church there, because there's an old bingo hall there. That used to be a roller skate rink, that sort of thing.
So it's going to be all you can eat watermelon, and they're going to have a seed spitting contest.
I think if you talk about watermelon, you have to say seed spitting contest.
Seed spitting.
Yeah, I don't think you can say spitting.
Spitting.
Have you heard something about this? Or something? There's some woman.
Oh.
I don't know that's
I've heard
been
people
viral.
reference something, and I don't
I don't
know.
even know
and
if I want to know.
Yes.
I've heard reference. I'll have to look at that. But
Yeah,
see if it's clean and family oriented.
No,
it's not.
No.
Okay, then I don't want to talk about that. Never mind.
No.
Okay, didn't.
Yeah, I've heard
about
people
that.
reference it, and I have not been motivated to go figure out what they're referencing.
I was. It was.
We'll go look it up if you want to hear it.
Someone. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Suffice it to say, it would turn this show from PG-13 into NC-17.
Yeah, forget that. We're good.
Okay,
Move on.
All right.
sorry.
Where were we?
Redneck. No,
No,
not
local
doing that.
restaurants.
Local
Oh,
restaurant.
oh,
Yes.
yes.
Flip the page.
Yes. Turn the page. Turn the page.
Just like
Bob
the song
Seger.
said.
Turn the page,
yes.
Bob Seger.
And this is one of my favorites for years.
Yeah.
I don't live by there. I don't go there nearly as much as I used to because I live it's an opposite direction from where I used to live. But when I lived over by the base, I was a somewhat regular at Deli Planet.
So yeah, the Deli Planet. That's our featured restaurant this show, and the Deli Planet.
Real quick, what we're doing just to catch everybody up because it's a fairly new segment. This will be our third time.
Yeah,
we're going to feature a local restaurant or eatery and maybe a drinkery or whatever it is, but at least local restaurants. We're going to try to feature a local restaurant on each one of our shows.
right.
Yep.
The Deli Planet, not only local, the guy that owns it, we actually went to school with.
Went to high school with, yeah. So yeah, he's local.
Yeah, Eric and Rebecca Rettlage own it and run it, and it's a fantastic restaurant. They've been there for many years. Had a location on Kent Boulevard for a long time. This particular location is almost directly across the street from the main gate at Shepherd Air Force Base on Burke Burnett Road, basically. Or it's actually Shepherd Access Road.
I think it's Shepherd Access Road technically. It's where Shepherd Access Road and
Burke Burnett Road kind of meet.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, 4014 Shepherd Access Road. But if you're standing at the main gate of Shepherd Air Force Base and you look across the street, you're looking almost right at Deli Planet. And fantastic place. I highly recommend a sandwich called the Mayhem.
Never eaten that. I can't get. I have to have a deli Philly every time I go.
Really? Every time?
I love their deli Philly.
And if you like spicy chicken, they've got one called the Wicked Chicken.
Okay, have to check it out.
The Wicked Chicken.
And their fries are great.
Oh,
they're little
awesome.
thick
Yes.
thick cut fries.
Yes.
They're really good. All their food is good, but they have a lot of neat things
Yeah.
there, and they also have a bar area. They have mixed drinks and cocktails and that sort of thing. So if you're into that,
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been there in years.
You need to go.
When they first opened, I believe they opened when I was still active duty. Early on.
Yeah, that
So I was
location
going-
probably right there.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
well, that
I was-
location's been there because it was Subs and Suds before Eric. That location was the original
Right.
one.
Yes.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
why when it opened, I believe it had to have been after '95 because I remember it was fairly new then.
No, there was
Wasn't it?
a sub shop
Well,
there, but
right, but it was but different company. Right?
it's called
Different-
Subs and Suds.
Okay, right. I remember Subs and Suds.
Yeah,
Right,
okay,
and,
yeah.
and
Different owners, but
Oh,
this,
yeah.
but a lot of that was their tagline.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, it's some of the menu carried over, I think, from Subs and Suds.
The deli Philly. I'm pretty sure it did. That's the original deli Philly.
They've added new stuff, and it's like I said, I've never had anything there that I could complain about. I mean,
Cookies,
it was all
massive
good.
cookies, and they're really good people on top of that.
They are, and good friends.
So if you get a shot, go to Deli Planet. If you get a chance, go to just go out of your way to go to Deli Planet.
yeah, and tell them you heard about it here on this program.
There
And
you
they'll
go.
say, "Who?"
Anyway, all right. TripAdvisor has named Wichita Falls Brewery the number 20 brewery in all of Texas.
That's pretty bold.
And the top.
There's a
20.
lot of breweries in Texas. I mean,
yeah.
breweries are huge here. I don't know how many hundreds of breweries there are. Hell, Austin's probably got 100 by itself.
Well,
easily.
You get down there by Kerrville and that area,
yeah.
and there's breweries everywhere, wineries and breweries and all that, all up in that area.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything.
Fredericksburg, Kerrville.
You get south of 20, and all of a sudden there's this explosion of them. And we've got quite a few around here. But for Wichita Falls Brewery to fall in at number 20 on that list,
Pretty amazing.
in Texas, in the state, that is huge.
And not only that, Wichita Falls Brewery is not an old brewery. I mean, we have some old Spitzel breweries, and we have some really old breweries here in Texas. that have been doing this a long time. Wichita Falls Brewery's been around, 15 years maybe, guys?
15 or 20. Yeah, probably closer to 15.
I was thinking 10 to 15.
Yeah.
I think they've been longer than 10, but maybe not more than 15.
Yeah. But it was one of those things that, when you started hearing about breweries up here, because it wasn't a thing here until about a decade or maybe 2 decades ago, it started coming here. Down south, yeah.
Well, you have to understand, down south, you have a lot of European influence.
Yes.
Germans, Czechoslovakians. That's my last name is Czech. Nobody up here knows what my last name is, but if you say Sarala in Central Texas, everybody knows immediately it's a Czech name. Yeah. There's a lot of people with last names that they need to buy a vowel.
That's true.
You got a Czech name and it's got about 4 consonants strung together and it doesn't look like that. But since you do have a lot of Germans and Czech and that in that sort of in part of the country, because a lot of them came through Corpus Christi or Galveston.
Yes,
that's how they immigrated to America. They didn't go through Ellis Island; they came through Galveston. That used to be a port of entry in America. Yeah. So that's how a lot of people ended up in Texas that are from Europe, and of course, beer is huge there. So they were all these little towns would brew their own beers, and that's just the same thing they did in Europe. They brought a lot of European traditions. There's kolaches down there. There's a lot of great German brats and sausages in that area, and that's why there's so many brewers in that part of the country.
I'm gonna say this: there's a difference between a kolache and a pig in a blanket.
Yes.
My wife is always on that. Yes.
What you buy around here, more often than not, is just a weenie and some bread.
Yes.
And it could be good.
And it could be a very good weenie.
But go West Texas.
But it's not a kolache.
Actually, I like Greens better. There's a place called Greens. It's in Zobzigville, Texas. Zobzigville, Texas, which if you are on Temple, if you take the loop road to Temple, the best way to get to Zobzigville, well, you can Google it. But if you go to Temple, you could take
Google hell, we can't even spell it.
At the loop, at the loop road there, that's where the new Buc-ee's is. There's a loop road there. You take a left if you're heading south there, and you go to the loop road, so you're going to be on the east side of Temple. And you get down there, I don't remember the road, but it's towards Rosebud. And you go towards Zobzigville, and there's literally one business in Zobzigville, and it's Greens.
And that is.
And I'm going to guess it ain't spelled Green either. Is
it? Greens. It's not Grew. No, you're thinking of a town. No, Greens is the name of the place. It's Greens, like green.
No. Oh, really?
Well, try to spell
but Zobzigville is
Zabzikville. What in the world?
That's a Czech name.
Yeah. You can't.
But it's between Temple and Rosebud. Anyhow, West is great.
But Greens just got the kolaches, huh?
They're my favorite kolaches, is Greens. And they also have, it's an old-timey, wooden floor country store there. They have slices. They have their own bacon, their own ham, their own whatever.
They're known, Zobzigville, is that how you say it?
Zobzigville.
Zobzigville is known for Greens Sausage House, which serves as a restaurant and a store for residents and people passing through.
Yeah. So that's kind of
Don't tell me I don't know my Texas geography. But West is probably the most famous place, and there's 2 or 3 places in West. It's not West Texas, it's West, Texas.
Yes, the town of
Texas.
West.
Where the big explosion, unfortunately, happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
On I-35.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, that's good. All right. What's this thing about men working signs? What's this all about?
Okay.
Men at work. Right?
Okay. No. Well, the woke is not affecting Clay County, folks.
Who can it be now?
I'm telling you, I was driving the other day in Clay County, and there were people mowing the grass on the farm to market road out there with the huge mowers, and they had a big banner, and it said "Men working."
Not men at work.
Nope, said men working. And I thought, you know what? The woke has not infected Clay County.
Not yet.
Look,
hopefully.
there I did not see any women working. It's not impossible that there could not have been a woman or 2 out there mowing grass. It's just generally it's a male-dominated job. And so if the woke got a hold of it, whoever bought those signs would have to spend a whole bunch more money to redo the signs. And then would you do persons working or nondescript? I mean, it just made my mind work.
Not non-binary bipedal creatures working.
Exactly. So it made my mind work if the woke got a hold of it. But the good news is, in Clay County, Texas, the woke's not going to do very well.
No,
Clay County,
but
Texas.
you have now, with all of our huge audience, this is going to go viral now. And now you shouldn't have said anything.
I think we'll stand up to them if they're. I don't think the residents of Clay County are that worried about it.
No, I don't think.
But I just was sitting there. I thought, you know what? That's kind of a little bit of a throwback to the past, but it's fine. Those signs have probably been around for a while. There's no point in changing the sign. I don't think that there would, if there was a woman or two working there, I don't think they would be. Women that work in that field, I don't think that they would be bothered by it.
Right, and that's probably a contracted job, isn't it? Or
I wouldn't know.
DOT or
probably. Well,
or is work? I actually saw work services. You might know.
Yeah, they do.
They were on the side of the road picking up. Doing something.
They pick up trash. They take care of a bunch of
I didn't check ID.
Roadside rest stop kind of stuff.
I didn't do a stop to do a junk test on all of them, see if they were really male or female. Anyhow, I just thought.
Well, regardless, it would be a waste of tax money when it didn't need to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe on the next round of purchases.
So apparently there are some folks out here that are talking about Joe Biden's gaffes at the debate.
Before the debate. This was before the debate. They were calling them cheap fakes.
That was
cheap fakes and what like
as opposed to a deep fake. It's a cheap fake because it was so. The thing was, and I don't remember which idiot coined that phrase.
No, it was her. It was his
Jean-Pierre.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. That idiot. Well, one of the idiots.
Yeah.
That coined the phrase cheap fakes, and I think, and it very well could have been her that coined it. And the whole point was, these fakes are so bad, they're so cheaply made, you can tell. The debate in my opinion, put that all to rest because everybody saw with their own eyes. Basically, this was one of those, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? And what they kept saying was that these gaffes that Joe had done, that Fox News and all the conservative media, because there's so much conservative media out there, had gone and they were cutting and editing these things to make them look like, and they did such a poor job, it was cheap, called cheap fakes. And I think now the whole cheap fake debate is a thing of the past because everybody saw last Thursday night, as we're recording this. In real time, without camera angles and without cuts, that, no, it ain't fake.
Well, I've been arguing ever since 2020 that Joe Biden is suffering from dementia. And I think one of the things you saw on Thursday is you got to see in very much unedited form exactly what I've been talking about. He's been exhibiting the hallmarks of dementia for years now. And there are stages of dementia, and there's really about 6 or 7 stages of dementia. And I think he's at stage 6. He's at that good example here. When someone who has dementia reaches a certain stage in their disease, they start to wander. They'll be standing and they it's like they lose their direction. Well, am I supposed to go this way? Am I supposed to go that way? Right. He's doing that. He's been doing that. Or they just kind of freeze up and they look like they're really hyper focused on something. But the fact of the matter is the lights are on, but nobody's home. That's what's going on there.
And by the way,
they blank out.
And we did a debate. When did our debate show drop? It's in our archive.
No, I'm working that now.
Okay. Well, we did a debate reaction show as well, so that'll be in the archives as well. But anyhow, the whole point behind this was this. Yeah. This was the big cheap fake deal. But now they can't say cheap fakes anymore. Yeah. Because everybody sees it. Nobody can hide. Nobody can hide from it.
And along these same lines, guys, it's growing daily. There is a growing push to have an open convention in August and to replace Joe Biden if he does not step down, to use an open convention to nominate a different candidate.
Well, did you hear what came out over this
This
weekend?
would happen in August.
We're recording this on July 2nd, so this will be not new news here. But came out over this weekend that some White House staffers have made the comment that Joe Biden was, and I forgot, I should have written the term down, but it's actively engaged between 10 and 4. Well,
yeah.
Hang on a second. That's first off, that's not. Being the president of the United States is not a part-time job.
No, it's a 24. I mean, effectively a 24/7
Yeah.
job.
Those are bankers' hours.
Yeah. So Joe Biden is at, and first off, what is actively engaged? And they used a different term, so I'm using the wrong term there. But when you are saying it's okay because he's lucid, in their opinion, between 10 and 4, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, what have I been talking about? Sundowner syndrome.
Yeah.
And how dementia patients will start to suffer from that as the day wears on, as the sun goes down.
So when did the president become shift work? Who are the other two unelected shift?
Well,
Terry's got a story. This is from Newsweek.
Yep.
And when was this published?
To this morning.
Okay.
So July the 2nd.
Here's the headline, and I don't know if he'll include this in the video or not. Joe Biden has suffered cognitive decline in the past 6 months, according to a report.
Right.
Now, I think they're forced to face the facts.
Oh, it's absolutely forced.
What many of us have been talking about for years now. What we've been talking about for years now. Now they're being forced to have to say it out loud. Something ain't right here.
Well, we can get off. We probably can move on. At some other topic we need to bring up, Tyrus, the guy who's on Gutfeld. I think he was a professional wrestler and a bodyguard for years and everything like that, big old dude. But he's a really smart guy. And he has these thoughts, and he's actually calling for people to be called for treason for hiding this. People that knew, because it is I mean, is it? And we can debate that. Is it actually treasonous? Would it stand up to a charge of treason by knowing that the commander in chief is in decline, cognitive decline, and hiding it from the rest of the world?
Well, I'll go one further. How many executive orders has this president signed?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
In 4 years.
Yeah.
How many executive orders? Now, if his cognitive decline really did start pre-election 2020, before he took office in January of 21, now, are any of the orders he signed even valid?
Or what about in the last 6 months?
Right.
Just the orders in the last 6 months.
Right.
Or whatever that time frame was.
Right.
Yeah, because if you sign, and I'm not a legal scholar here, but I believe this is correct. If you sign a legal document,
You have to be of sound mind.
and it says you have to be of sound mind, and if they can prove that you were not of sound mind when you sign that document can be charged in court, I believe.
Yeah, I'll just give you an example here. So if you sell, let's say you're selling insurance, okay, and let's say I sit down with somebody to sell them a life insurance policy, and and if I'm the agent and I'm trying to sell this person a life insurance policy, and they've got to sign a document. If I, as an agent, determine that they are impaired in some way, be it drugs or maybe a mental health issue of some kind, if I detect, I have a legal obligation to report that to the company.
Yes.
And go, hey, I don't know that this person legitimately understands what they're signing here.
Yeah.
You have a legal and an ethical obligation to report that.
That's why you have to be licensed to be an insurance agent. You can't just go sell insurance.
Now you've got a president who's signing orders that effectively become laws and regulations that everyone is expected to follow. And if he is cognitively impaired to the point that he doesn't understand what he's signing, and we saw an example of this, by God, on day one, the very first, they've got him on camera. Mm-hmm. He's on a hot mic. He's not on the mic, but there's a hot mic in the room, and you hear him say, "I don't know what I'm doing here," or "I don't know what I'm signing here."
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm signing here. Hello.
Yeah.
I think there's more than a small mountain of evidence here to back up a claim that you could invalidate damn near everything this president has signed into law.
That's all. We probably need to do a deep dive into that.
I'm just telling that's going to, guys. Yeah. This has the potential to blow up in everybody's faces in a big way, and I think now Democrats are recognizing that. The really scary part here is if they do have an open convention in August, who the hell are they going to drop in on us?
Well, I posited my theory. If you haven't, well, you'll see it before you see this if you watch our debate reaction. But I'm still telling you, I'm still going with. I'm not 100% sure the Democrats aren't going to just leave well enough alone, not get the stink of anybody on any political stink on anybody else, and go ahead and give the win to the Republicans this one time, knowing that Trump can only serve one. It could
term.
It could be. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but there is a possibility. The Republicans have done it twice. Bob Dole and John McCain were exactly that same thing.
Yeah, they were
basically white flags. Okay, you guys win. All y'all Oxenfree. Here's some old guys that have burned all their political capital anyhow. We can't hurt them now. And we're gonna let you guys take them, and we're gonna wipe the slate clean.
Wow. Do we want to real quick hit on the
restaurant deal? You want to do that real quick?
Yeah. So we had recently another big name chain restaurant close here, create a big stink. Burke Burnett just lost one that closed down, but the owner made the choice to shut it down. The restaurant business is hard.
Yeah,
it's tough, and when you have a difficult economic situation, and it's clear that's what we're going through right now. Difficult economic situation. Inflation has wreaked havoc on every aspect of the economy. Supply chain issues have wreaked havoc on every aspect of the economy up until probably about a year ago. I think that really kind of started to resolve itself.
It's starting to get there.
Late 22, early 23, things kind of started to correct there. But, it's a difficult industry to be in anyway. And when these restaurants shut down, a lot of times it's an economic choice.
Well, the biggest thing on this was there was a news story about some employees being upset about the restaurant being closed. And we understand that I understand that from losing your job. And look, anytime somebody loses their job, especially suddenly, that's a bad deal. Mm-hmm. But by the same token, restaurants usually are not going to have a going out of business sale.
No.
There's too many variables. If a shop like the shop that was down the street here, Finishing Touch, that was here for many years, they had a going out of business sale.
Right.
They had merchandise that was left over.
Right.
Yeah,
they had trusted employees that had been around a long time, and the owner, and they were going to sell the merchandise off. The problem when you have restaurants, like the Hooters was specifically will close down. Not a lot of those employees are longtime employees that have been around for a generation.
Right.
You have a lot of perishable foods.
Yeah,
you have a lot of things that can cause problems with people. Yes. So you don't necessarily have what your fear is. The owner of that restaurant would be, what if somebody does something and gets your customer sick? Mm-hmm. What if there's alcohol there? If there's a lot of theft going to happen and things like that? While you feel bad for the employee for losing their job and kind of losing it suddenly, I understand being upset about that, but the restaurant business or a bar business is not a business that I almost think you could almost do a going out of business. You need to just close and be done with it because there's too many variables. Let me tell you another one, because I grew up in the elevator industry. When you give a 2 weeks notice in the elevator industry, they say, thank you, do not return to the job site.
Well, if you're quitting, a lot of companies do that.
Because there's too many variables.
Right.
I mean, too many bad things can happen.
They'll just pay you for the 2 weeks.
Pay you for 2 weeks and move on.
Thanks.
So there's a whole lot of bad things that can happen. I would imagine in the cybersecurity world, there's probably no 2 weeks notice. You give a 2 weeks notice in that.
Because you have access to a lot of passwords. If you're in IT world,
that's
you
what I
have
mean.
Access to passwords and all kinds of other data. And so generally speaking, you're just going to be asked.
So while I have empathy for somebody who loses their job suddenly, and that does suck, and I hope that Hooters Corporation paid them something. I would hope so. Maybe they did. Maybe they don't. I don't really know.
Well, there is that.
But I can understand Hooters or any restaurant going, we're closing now.
Yeah. Well, there is a law that states that if you're over a certain size, it's called, I think, the WARN Act or something. Sure. WARN Act. I think it's called the WARN Act. But anyway, worker adjustment retraining notification note. So under certain circumstances, this is from Texas Workforce, but basically it's I don't know. I think you have to be a certain size of company over a certain size, then you have to give people a certain area. Here it is. WARN Act requires employers with 100 or more full-time employees, not counting workers who have fewer than 6 months on the job, to provide at least 60 days notice. And so they
or pay you're going to pay them. You don't have to work them for 60 days.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Well, you can't be forced to have your business open.
Correct.
You can say I'm closing the business, but I'm going to go ahead and pay people out.
Well, whatever it is, there's something about it though. Is the point?
But Hooters they closed. I think in total, it was 40 or 60.
40 stores.
Was it 40 stores?
Yeah.
There were 6 in Texas alone that I know of that closed down.
Right.
And what happened is they basically said, we've got these locations that are underperforming. Sales are lagging. They're not doing well. It's an exercise in futility to continue to try to do this. You do reach a point, and the restaurant industry it's not only a difficult, it's a very expensive industry to be in too.
Well, there's a lot of loss. There's a lot of waste. I mean, I'm talking about not people taking anything from you.
Right.
If the employees don't take anything, and by the way, there's a whole lot of chicken nuggets going. Employee grabs a chicken nugget and throws it in their mouths and stuff at McDonald's, and that happens a lot in the restaurant industry. There's a lot of food.
Well, sure.
Somebody just grabs a bite here and there. But just take that part away. Just take the pure waste.
Yeah.
You're going to drop stuff on the floor. It's going to sit around and serve uncold. You cooked it wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not to the customer's satisfaction. That's all got to go in the trash. You can't go cook it in the fryer again and hand it back to the next customer.
No. Well, it's got to go.
Just interesting. I was listening to a podcast this weekend when I was mowing on the on my Hustler
on your Hustler mower
yes,
from Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls since 1966.
EddieHillsFunCycles.com.
There you go. Thank you.
Anyway, I was listening to the podcast, and the podcast is called Acquired, and they take about a 3-hour show about different companies. One of them was Starbucks. They have about an 80% margin at Starbucks.
It doesn't surprise me though.
No.
It's just water and dirt.
But at the same time, he took from when he acquired the company. That's what we're talking about. Hang on, I just listened to
Starbucks guy.
Yeah, George Schultz. No,
George Starbucks.
No, anyway, whoever he is, he acquired it when there were 11 stores, and there are a ton more. He's got 350,000.
So he
employees.
didn't start Starbucks.
No,
not real. No, he actually did not. He bought the name from the company.
He was the Ray Kroc. He was the Ray Kroc of Starbucks.
I was going to say he kind of did with Starbucks what Ray Kroc did with McDonald's.
Yeah, who calls himself the founder, but he actually did not found McDonald's.
No, but he did, as we know it, because he actually said that the company that owned Starbucks, he was hired by Starbucks, and he actually convinced them to open a store. They were just selling the coffee itself. They were not drinks, but they were selling the raw bagged coffee,
right?
And they didn't want to move forward on it. They wanted to just stick with the doing the thing. But he convinced them to do one store, and it was actually doing well.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't let him do any more. So anyway, through a few back and forths, and him leaving, and he bought it. And
there's some. There are some real success stories in the restaurant world.
Sure.
Yeah. McDonald's is one of them.
Yeah.
Burger King, all the big names, the Starbucks, all that. There's some real success
Even
stories.
your White Castles and your In-N-Out burgers that are more that are not as big as well known as McDonald's and Burger King.
In-N-Out's been growing.
They've all been growing.
But there's some real success stories there. But there's also some that are just not the models. I think with Hooters, I think the novelty of the restaurant novelty. Yeah,
that's what it was called. I didn't make that up.
It's worn off. People now are more. You got to sell people on the value of your product, the quality of your food, the price, the service. How great is the service? People got to feel like they're being super served, if you will.
Well,
and I think that's where you got to win now if you're going to be in the restaurant business.
I guess the big point of that, there were two things I got out of that whole thing. Was one, while you have empathy for the employee who suddenly lost their job, you do understand that a business like that, they can't afford to stay open. And it's not, there's just too many variables. And the other thing I got out of all that is Terry used his Hustler mower to mow this weekend, and it did great for him.
Well, I guess we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Get It Right Texoma. It's brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls since 1966, EddieHillsFunCycles.com, MacTech Solutions, 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B, MacTech-Solutions.com. All things Apple, you come here,
right.
ladies and gentlemen.
You're not allowed to go anywhere else.
That's right. This is it. This is your only choice right here, MacTech Solutions. And also by Lolly and Pops Sweet Shop. LPSweet.com is the website, and on Facebook, Lolly and Pops. And Lolly is spelled Lollie, and Pops, P-O-P-S, Sweet Shop on Facebook as well. Guys, be sure again and share this link to this show on all your social media pages. And be sure and visit our website, GetItRightTexoma.com. Until next time, take care. We shall see you again.